Sean is also a minister, but his place of worship is an old gospel hall in Swansea. But did he come from a Christian background?
My parents are both very committed Christians. In fact, my old man's a preacher, and I swore blind I'd never do the same as him. And I guess by virtue of the fact that I am a minister now, it's a testimony really to them not ramming anything down my throat. I think if that had been the case, I'd have run a mile.
So when did you decide to go into the ministry? Was it a sort of John Wesley experience? Can you tell that? Was it 3 o'clock and I know exactly where I was? And...
it wasn't until my late teens, really in my early 20s, I felt being drawn to some sort of ministry. In fact, I was playing drums in just in an average sort of pub rock and roll band in the home counties area in West London. And I can remember actually clearly one particular gig thinking I wanted to do something a little bit more than provide the backbeat to the band. And I guess I just started to see people with slightly different needs that I'd seen before. And I guess if you wanted to put a spiritual slant on it, I think I was seeing, with more of God's compassion than I'd seen before.
Zach's place started as a church in a pub to offer people a different type of ministry.
Zach's place is here at the old Gospel Hall in George Street in Swansea city centre. The church-based trust that I run bought it as our current headquarters, as a spin-off from the Zach's Place gatherings, which we've been doing in the pubs in Swansea for the last 7 years.
So where are we now? Is this the meeting room?
This is the lounge area,
right.
As you can see, unashamedly with a bit more of a bar feel about it than the rest of the premises. Quite a bit of memorabilia from different God Squad chapters from different countries, Australia, New Zealand and Norway. Some people weren't sure about red walls and schizophrenics and all the rest of it, but it's unashamedly it's the God Squad colours of the red and the cream and the black in here.
Sean leads a ministry in the UK called God Squad. Designed for bikers, it was started in Australia in the 60s under the leadership of John Smith. It now also has chapters all over the world.
We primarily exist to serve our mates within the biking community in a chaplaincy role. So we'll often get called on to conduct funerals or weddings, visit guys in jail or hospital, that kind of thing. To me, be an expression of the church, really.
Yeah. No, so rightly or wrongly, it's not. It's a vision I find very difficult to take on board. Sort of hard-looking bikers in their leathers and having a word of prayer.
Yeah, but it's not that far removed from. I often wonder what it must have been like with Christ on the road with his disciples, because when you look at the makeup of that group of disciples who wouldn't have all got on with each other, you had one fellow called Simon the Zealot, who was effectively an urban guerrilla wanting to overthrow the Romans, and then you had tax collectors who were sort of charlatan turncoat Jews working for the Romans. So the group dynamics must have been quite bizarre. Most of them would have been fairly raucous. The language would have been fairly coarse as they hit the road together. So I don't think a bunch of mates that I keep company with and take the road with are that different.
Point taken, right. Do you still get an opportunity to ride a bike? Do you have one?
Very much so, yeah. The bike's often parked up out the front here, and even in these cold winter months. I've lost count of how many miles I've done now, but it's well in excess of quarter of a million miles on a motorcycle.
Wow, that's some biking.
Still very much enjoy it. It's about the only place I get any peace and quiet.
So what's through the door behind you?
That leads into the main chapel area, or what used to be the main chapel area, the main hall with the balcony, although we're currently renovating that with much more of a theatre come art gallery feel. We've already got children's theatre group using the venue on a regular basis. We're putting our own events together, small acoustic performances and small theatre productions, and it's also going to be the home for our arts commission based on the Beatitudes. We've got 2 of 8 pieces of work complete, going to be a mixture of paintings and sculptures. And
what's the one that's there now?
The one that's in place at the moment is based on the first Beatitude, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That was commissioned by ourselves and an artist, Bill Taylor-Beals, who's based in Cardiff, that's done that piece of work. Absolutely wonderful. And the other piece of work that we've got here is the last Beatitude, which is blessed are those who are persecuted, which is symbolising those that have either been imprisoned for the faith or that have actually been martyred for the faith, particularly with this piece of work concentration particularly over the last few decades. And there's other works in progress at the moment. So these are ideas I've had for years, and I'm like a kid at Christmas time. I'm unpacking boxes of toys. It's great to have a venue to do all this in now.
I get a feeling already that diversity is important to you, not just with the bikers.
Yeah, it is. It's different when someone says, "What's a typical week like?" It's actually quite difficult to say what a typical week consists of, because it is very diverse. There are fixed points in the week where here at Zach's place we're running soup kitchens one evening a week, but each morning there's breakfast being served for the city's rough sleepers, and that's in partnership with numerous local agencies. But then I might be in a motorcycle clubhouse until 4 or 5 in the morning the night before, but then I might be in the prison the next day, or I might be in a completely different setting of talking to some assembly members in the Welsh Assembly at the prayer breakfast, which I did back in the summer.